Untamed is going to be untamed. It's going to be a little crazy. I want to talk to my people. I want to talk to my brothers and sisters. We can have grace and humility in how we interact with other people.
Oh, hot dog, look at you.
And nobody talked about what's really happening.
And let's have conversations about what truth is.
They don't want any expert to explain how compromised the entire election system is. The architecture is compromised, the implementation of it is compromised, and the operational use of it is compromised. Okay, I have firsthand experience on every one of those things in multiple locations. It's completely compromised. That's exactly the opposite of what you're told in the media. It's safe and secure. It's secure. It's secure. They've convinced all of the election supervisors, and I'm not saying they're bad people, but the mainstream, voting machine companies, and the mainstream media have convinced them that there's no problem here, nothing to see, when we've got a completely compromised election system. And it's been that way, I hate to tell you guys this, it's been that way for a very long time. It did not start in 2020. Correct. I have data going back to 1990. Okay, that shows it. That 1994 case that I was talking about, I had the database for Baltimore City. I had all the databases for the state of Maryland, and I inherited those. In 1992, there was a presidential election. They testified in the court case that they had not purged the rolls the way they were supposed to. So the election supervisor in Baltimore was pointing at the technical guy. They were pointing at each other as to why they did not purge the rolls. But everybody agreed they had not purged the rolls, okay? So what happened in 1992 when I looked at the database? Remember the Bill Clinton first election? Yep. In Baltimore City alone, 20,000 more votes cast than there were voters, with a population of votes of about 200 to 250,000. Guys, that's close to 10% of the votes. Think about the implications. If they did that in Atlanta, Philadelphia, Detroit at the same time, I'd say likelihood's pretty good that they probably did. If you remember, Bill Clinton didn't get 50%, right? We had a third-party candidate, Ross Perot. There's a really good chance that Bill Clinton did not win the 1992 elections. Sure. That he was installed in 1992. And H.R. 2, when he got elected, you know what it was? It's the Motor Voter Law. It's the National Voter Registration Act. That was H.R. 2 under Bill Clinton. And they got it passed, and it went into effect. And as soon as it went into effect at the beginning of January 1995, they passed it in 93, the voter rolls began to bloat.
So welcome back. We keep getting back into elections. I'm sorry I'm a few minutes late, and let me tell you why I'm late. One, I was talking to the people over in Wyoming they have an election group, an election committee that presents evidence related to elections there. And I've been trying to figure out how, if you haven't heard yet, we have judges. We have a sitting judge in the state of Colorado that wants to blow the whistle on the judiciary in the state of Colorado, and two previous judges that want to do the same thing. So we got 3 judges, and now so I put out a video and I said, hey, listen, by the way, pull that video if you would. I put out a video, and this video was, it's on Facebook. Actually, just take it off Facebook and put it on X, if you would, please, and True Social and everything. But they want to blow the whistle on bad behavior by judges. And the fact that it's rotted, the judiciary's rotted out, and these people are absolutely slave drivers that have done everything they can to destroy the very people they say they represent. And stolen elections been going on for decades. By the way, that was a throwback from Conservative Daily Podcast that the Skiff on X put out. It's about 4 years old. And we had Dave Lindbergh, we had him on the show back a few years ago. Interesting stuff. It's interesting stuff because they think that we're stupid. And the smarter we become, and the more we get to the place where we can understand what's actually happening, the more they want to restrict and put their hands on our throat. Our elections have been stolen for a long time. Now, he talked about 92, 96, 98, 2000. But remember, in 2004, you had Clinton Curtis that actually testified that they were asked to build a system that could flip votes. So they could stop just injecting ballots into it and creating this this puffery that steals elections on the national stage. Now they could do it any election, anytime they want. And they brought these machines in. They treat you like you're an idiot. And you know you're not. And when you see it, they just use the media in order to ridicule you and take away your ability to have justice. And now we find out that the justice system is nothing more than a bunch of slave traders that act as enforcers for organized crime. But Jason Crow, he was a Colorado congressman. This guy's a piece of trash, man. Think piece of trash. He's like, oh, I was in the military. I don't care if you're in the military. What I care is if you have the ability to represent the people you say you represent. And he doesn't. He thinks the government should have control over social media. And again, they want to take the Constitution, throw it out the window. But here's what he has to say. Let's play it.
I love the idea that you're introducing this new idea of new patriotism into the marketplace of ideas. But I think too often we have these discussions with the idea that every American, myself included, is this rational decision-making engine. But of course, we live in a world where a very few people with strong corporate interests, in conjunction with social media and traditional media platforms, are heavily influencing what people think and how they think they feel about things. Mm-hmm. And so how do you reconcile that reality with what you're trying to do? Thank you.
Thank you. Well, the lack of our common understanding of facts right now and the siloing of information is an incredible threat to our democracy, right? And I see that play out in my job all the time, where you can have several different TVs showing different programs right now, and they paint 2, 3, 4 different realities, right? So I believe if we are in the position of being able to legislate this, which I'm working very hard to do, to put us in the position where we have the votes and the ability to legislate it, I think we need massive reform to social media regulation and algorithms, and particularly for American children. I'm a father of young children, and I can't tell you how difficult it is to raise children in America today with the social media environment that they live in, right? And how corrosive that is. So I believe we need to actually ban social media for young children. We need to take it out of our classrooms, and we need to regulate algorithms that are tearing our country and community and our children apart. Right? The social media companies and the big tech companies have proven themselves irresponsible and incapable of self-regulation. So our government has to step up and regulate it. And we have to build a coalition across partisan lines. And actually, this is an area of bipartisanship, I can tell you. There are many people, Republican, Democrat, and Independent alike, that knows that this is a problem. And it's destroying our families, our communities, and our government.
Well, there you go. He thinks that basically, the question came from someone who thinks that they're really smart. Has anyone run into people that say that they're really smart and they're actually not? They're not smart at all? It happens more often than we know. We find ourselves fighting this uphill battle over and over and over and over again. And the people that say that they're really smart are actually the ones that are pretty unintelligent. They're the ones that have been indoctrinated through this deal to say that you should cut off penises and that the vaccine is the only way to go. Only now you have doctors and people coming out saying, I did not give my patients informed consent. It's now coming out. So they want to censor people's ability to get information by saying that the information that you can get is the only information that we give you. I want you to think about that. Like, what kind of world are we in? We have been trying so hard to get to a place where the American people's voice can be heard. They say you must have machines. They treat you like you're stupid. They ostracize the experts that are out there. And the 6 years of work that were done, they say, oh, you're an election denier. They use it like a slur like you would use against a race. And then they say stuff like, we're the authority. Sit down, shut up, slave. You're the slave. Sit down, slave. And yet we can't get basic, like just give us no mail-in ballots. Like, what's the damage that's done by no mail-in ballots? You have precincts on every corner. Well, I'm going to tell you what the damage is done. The damage is done is that you can't inject large amounts of gas into the fire to get an outcome. And they're scrambling right now saying, man, if the American people are the only people that can vote, we're in big trouble. If the American people are and it has to be a transparent process, they're going to get rid of all of us. Like, we're all gone. And then the power brokers that are out there don't have control in their grip on the throat of Americans, treating them like slaves. See, everyone says that, oh, these other countries, man, they're terrible. They have so much corruption. Our corruption is doused in a facade that literally is the emperor has no clothes. We can't get the SAVE Act passed, and there's already a push for another bill that betrays the American people. You got what's going on up in Minnesota. You got what's going on in California. Now you have California senators and congressmen inside of the state of California that want to pass the Nick Shirley Act that makes it impossible for you to get to the fraud. I'm going to tell you something that you probably already know. You're a slave. You're a slave, and they don't even think you're worth it. You're an inconvenience to them. Give us your money, slave. We own your property, slave. Everything we tell you to do, slave. The judiciary rotted to the core. They're having back deal conversations, ex parte conversations. They're handing money out. They're taking bets on who's going to get what prison sentence. They're doing terrible things, Epstein list, you name it. They're on their own list. Downloading kiddie porn, sexual misconduct, doing everything they can to treat the American people in every instance like slaves. But in the middle of all that, they want to pass the Dignity Act. They want to push a bill that helps illegal aliens. They haven't helped the American people in so long, we don't even know what it looks like. We don't have roads on the, I mean, you look at Colorado, it's like a criminal's playground. They want to make it impossible for you, the American, to be able to take care of yourself, to defend your home. They want to strip you of your Second Amendment rights. And now Jason Crow says, let's take your First Amendment rights too. And the more we speak and the more we speak up, the less they make sense. And it doesn't matter if you're a Democrat or Republican, guys, it does not matter. None of that matters. What matters very simply is, are you willing to be their slave? Because now they want to do this replacement theology and bring in these people from the outside and say, we're going to destroy the ethos. We can't get rid of these people. We've only basically clawed back 10%. We got 90% left to go. But the American people are constantly treated as if they're a second-hand citizen, a third world citizen in their own country. But they're already talking about in multiple states, California, Colorado, other places, how do they take more meat off the bone? And the smarter you really are, build a business, do things, build things in your community, the more of these pieces of trash want to take it from you. So now you have the Dignity Act because we can't get the SAVE Act passed because God forbid we do something for the American people. So now they're like, well, we first have to give free health care, free child care, free to illegals while giving the middle finger to the American people. Let's go and play it.
There's a new amnesty bill in Congress called the Dignidad Act. The name's in a foreign language because it benefits foreigners over American citizens, giving legal status to as many as 12 million illegal aliens, stops ICE from deporting illegals, and allows many deported illegals back into America. Worse, the Dignidad Act expands work visas, replacing American workers and undercutting wages. The Dignidad Act is an amnesty bill. Learn the facts and join the conversation.
Well, there you go. It creates a legal status for illegal immigrants, rewards lawbreakers, you can't deport them. You have delayed enforcement trade-offs. He claims the bill promises future enforcement in exchange for immediate legalization. You're negotiating against yourself. They get something, you get nothing. Even without direct citizenship, because it doesn't give them real citizenship. This legal status gives them de facto amnesty. They can do whatever they want. And it's bipartisan. Do you mean unipartisan? Our country it's just broken. It's broken. Our states are run by criminals. You got Crow that wants to basically strip you of your ability to have a First Amendment on the internet because someone might believe the truth that you're saying, and that might be dangerous to someone. And here's a Democrat senator, by the way. You got to see this. I don't even know what to say. Just play this. Yeah, play it.
How many illegals are on Medicaid? Do you know?
And Glenn, Senator Grenade, please, can we, when we dehumanize, well, it's not the, stop. I was shot 9 times because I was dehumanized. I was shot 9 times because we allowed somebody to dehumanize human beings. I almost died twice, Glenn. Yeah. So I ask you once, please, do not say illegal in this committee because it dehumanizes an individual. And that's all I'm asking you from my heart. Okay. Thank you. Senator Utke.
What a douchebag. You can't. Every time we turn around, they keep moving the goalposts, moving everything. And in Virginia, they're changing how they award electoral votes in a presidential election because they're afraid of you, the American people. So they just want to change it. I mean, and who better to do that than the CIA governor candidate of Virginia? The CIA. Spanberger signed HB 965 into law, effectively rendering Virginia's presidential votes null and void. The measure handing the state's electoral votes to the national popular vote winner regardless of the state's results. I mean, let me just kind of put this for you so you understand this. They want to strip you of your ability to have a voice. They are changing the rules not because it benefits you, but because it benefits them. And so they can basically just have the Dignidad Act and let 12 million people in. Don't get to the place where you get rid of mail-in ballots. Don't get to the place where you actually render it. Just create an environment where you basically take everything from the people. We're in the middle of tyranny. The example of when it fails to favor the people, you have a duty, not a right, to overthrow it is already here. Let's be honest about it. It's here. Let's go ahead and play it. The devil. Another synagogue of Satan individual, by the way, which I've talked about before. The same people that say we're not white while basically ridiculing people that are white, bringing people in this replacement from all over the world in order to come in and replace Americans, generations of Americans. We saw what's happening in Ireland right now. If you haven't seen it, it's unbelievable. But Virginia is now the 18th state plus DC to join, 222 electoral votes. The compact only activates once states totaling 270 electoral votes join. It's not in effect yet. But they're stealing states one by one. They're slowly boiling us in a vat of hot acid. So just to list the states, California has 54, Illinois has 19, Illinois has 19, New York has 28. Medium states that are in this is Colorado has 10, Connecticut has 7, Maryland has 10, Massachusetts has 11, Minnesota has 10, New Jersey has 14, New Mexico has 5, Oregon has 8, Virginia has 13. Washington has 12, smaller states. So they're basically doing the 2/3 in reverse to change the laws collectively. And now we have an update on if that's not enough. If the fact that these retards, these pieces of shit, these traitors to our country, these treasonous traitors to our country, which by the way just keeps getting worse because they keep doubling down now. President Trump was supposed to come in and just wipe it all out. It hasn't gotten wiped out. Now we're just fighting with each other and having to deal with a bunch of BS. And I don't care if you're a Democrat, Republican, or an independent. All three of you, by the way, don't matter. You are a slave. You are an inconvenience to these people. And we started talking about the update on Shawnee Kirkhoff, the one that had the gate analysis that was the pipe bomber that failed her polygraph test. So now what's happened is that the federal government is going to double down on Brian Cole and hit him, go ahead and put this up here, hit him with another superseding indictment, naming 2 additional charges of terrorism and attempt to use a weapon of mass destruction in this case. You can't make this stuff up. You've got a autistic, barely functional black kid, and you're throwing the book at him for something he did not do. Our entire country is fundamentally broken, and we got a bunch of cowards that aren't willing to do what's necessary in order to fix it. That's the reality. That's how I feel about it. I feel like this is crazy. This kid's the pipe bomber, and you know what? I'm Judas Priest. We know it's not true. We absolutely know it's not true. Oh. Is he in? Bring him in. Seth Keshel's going to join us. Maybe he'll talk me out of wanting to basically throw people off a cliff. Seth, welcome to the show.
Joe, I've been doing that for about 5 years on your show. So, I mean, this is really nothing new. I look like I'm on a potato right now.
How you doing? How you doing, brother? What's going on? How you been?
Well, I'm doing good. I mean, I've been busy as hell. Every time I want to take a step back and chill a little bit, it's like, hey, why don't you do something different? Why don't you write a book? So mission is still the same. I know that your mission is constantly changing, but it's really not so far divorced from what it was when we first met. So it's going to be good to see you, and hello, Joe's audience.
Yeah, it's good to see you. We've had it has some crazy stuff going on, right? It's your book, by the way. Let's quickly talk about your book. You just wrote your book. It rose to the records and is now one of the top bestsellers. Tell us about it.
Well, it's going to become the preeminent book on election corruption in the Trump era. I got first thing that more piece have moved print and audio since it released on March the 5th. And you can see that beautiful cover right there with our Smoky Boss Tweed F curve on the front. But it's been quite a ride.
So you've been working on this for the last 6 years. We've collaborated on lots of different things with Mark Cook, myself, Professor Clements. Do you feel like a different person 6 years later? Do you feel like we've gotten through, and now we're in that place where it's like a rugged cowboy, man? You're in the middle of it, and you now can almost anticipate where things are going to come from.
So, we have 2 ways to fix our country, ultimately, because I'm no longer really a conservative. I'm a pragmatist. I don't believe in the labels. I don't think we can serve a whole lot as a Republican Party. But likewise, you just ran a campaign for governor, so you still see utility in the political system. The problem with the political system is it's corrupted. It's corrupted by foreign and domestic influence, too much money, corruption of the incumbent parties. But look, we can't just advocate for and choose the violent solution to fix our country. Now, that could happen, and you have to be prepared to deal with it. But absent that, fixing the political process is what has to happen. And unless we start getting rid of some of these incumbents and replacing them with people that can fund a campaign, that can connect with voters, and that can advocate for the reforms to make our elections fair. See, that's one thing the White House is still pushing is election fair, but we don't have the help in the Senate that we need, and we definitely don't have the help in the courts, although I think the Supreme Court may be about to give us police. So my views are now more pragmatist oriented. Every passing milestone gives me a greater understanding of what happened on the 3rd, 2020.
Okay, so we talk about 2020, but man, we've been looking at elections going back to the early 2000s, 2004, 2008, 2012. And we're finding more and more information related to how they did it, stored procedures, how they were able to manipulate the code, and that's why they hid it behind this black box. And now we have even more information about what's happening in Serbia, what's happening in China. Obviously, we pulled out Maduro from Venezuela, and you have people that are chirping like birds. Why is it taking so long to get to a conclusion if we know that the elections are stolen? And they keep trying to say, there's still people saying safest standard, gold standard. Seth, we know it's not. It's nonsense to even have the conversation anymore. Why aren't people in handcuffs and why aren't people in Guantanamo Bay?
Well, there's a lot of people that benefit from the corrupted system of elections maintaining the status quo. And they're not Democrats. Now, it's mostly the Democrats at this point, but in the book, I made a point in chapter 4, a history of election fraud. I literally wrote that chapter for the good conservative who says all the right conservative talking points, and he believes that the government's corrupt, he believes the media is corrupt, he believes the schools are corrupt, but he won't go so far to believe that elections would be stolen. Is that anyone in power is going to do everything possible to stay in way ever since people have been in power, even before democracy. And I wrote about Mark Hare, who's a U.S. congressman from North Carolina. Well, in 2018, his election was thrown out using North Carolina in a special election. So this is a bipartisan problem, and to rip off the layers of corruption may be to expose friends caught in the fire. I think that's why you don't see much political action on it.
All right, so let's kind of unpack that a little bit, because we have this uniparty. I think you've seen this, the Republican Party become largely anemic, largely betrayers of the very people they say they represent. It's hard to see to the bottom, like who represents what. Like it's almost as like everyone's for themselves, as long as it comes with a paycheck from the end of it. At least in the political structure or the struggle that we face. But how are we going to fix it if we can't get to a place where the people's voice are even heard, even on a local level? Like nobody has an appetite for machines or mail-in ballots. They just don't. So why is it so difficult to fix what should already be fixed? All right, it's just it makes no sense to me, Seth. It makes no sense.
Well, I think we have top dollars. We are definitely victims of corruption when it comes to the courts. When it comes to fair laws, we have the states and the federal government all the elections clause versus the federal government's authority to come in and write a lot of this stuff. And then you have even red states like Idaho and Missouri refusing to comply with the Trump DOJ to turn over voter rolls. Back to the question of who is this going to expose? Because I don't think either of those secretaries of state are corrupting the system actively themselves. I think it would expose massive corruption of the voter rolls going back decades and create a problem that they don't think they need to solve today. But for the ground up portion of this, we're not entirely victims. And you've alluded to this plenty of times. That's one thing that you do with that fireball attitude that you have, is you compel people to get involved and to start caring. Okay, and that's the most important part. And I would consider Maricopa County, just up the road from where I live today, is the symbolic ground zero of the election corruption in this country. It's equal to Philadelphia, Wayne County, Milwaukee County, Fulton County, but it was where the election was called on November 3rd, 2020. That there's a big media arm to the election corruption as well, setting expectations. And less than half of the precinct committee man spots are filled with a Republican precinct committee man. Same thing here in Pima County, which is 15% of the vote in the state. So until we have average Joe, Billy Bob filling Republican precinct committee man problems, can we really say that the layperson is involved in the political solution? Because from that ground level, you get people like Rachel Keshel, Rachel Jones. When I met her, Rachel Keshel, who was one of the grassroots figures, who came together as a team of three and raised just enough money to get elected. Can't there enough boots force collect signatures, and we can't even begin to attend these party conventions where the party planks are directed towards good solutions like election integrity. So how do we marry up the top-down problem with a bottom-up solution? And we're 5.5 years into the election integrity problem, and we still haven't grasped that.
Yeah, so this is where it gets into the meat and potatoes of the stuff that we were studying 3 or 4 years ago, Seth. I mean, look, we had a lot of information in 2022 after you say Maricopa, which is, ground zero for a audit. We had information, we had reports, we had a lawyer for the Senate inside the Arizona Senate that was able to massage and change the outcome of those reports by Doug Logan. And he said on this show, he said, Joe, I couldn't tell the people everything because it would have created a constitutional crisis. So we know, we have volumes of information right now. And we're heading into one of the most important elections. We keep saying one election's more important than another. President Trump wins, but they're still stealing elections. And we're now getting a regurgitation of the information we already saw 2 or 3 years ago. And now people are surprised by it. Like, I can't believe whoa, we've got it now. And you and I are looking at each other like, what is happening here?
No, I agree with you. The 2024, my at 20 concerns that were validated. The model was the votes electoral states and to lead certain states to trend as they otherwise would. So you have Texas and Florida becoming Republican blowouts, and then you have New York and California losing millions of votes of margin each. Yet the existence of the corruption machine still exists because in California, Harris trailed Biden by 1.8 million votes. In social studies, presidential elections understand that somebody running from their home state has a home field advantage. So how does Harris lose 1.8 million Biden votes in her own home state? Trump barely gains any votes at all, yet cuts 9 points off of the total margin. Yet the Democrats in December flipped 2 U.S. House seats that the Republicans held. So one of the main legislative problems we have in this country comes from the top of the ticket election cheating. In 2020, 2022, 2024, I can count 9 Republican Senate seats that should exist otherwise. That would not be a 53-seat majority. It would be 62. We'd be having a much different conversation about where the SAVE Act is today with 62 GOP senators in a thicker Republican House majority.
Correct. So I mean, are we doomed going into this election? I mean, we won't pass the SAVE Act. And by the way, it's Republicans, not Democrats, that are stopping it from happening. Right?
Yeah.
And the reason why they give is that there's no problem with our elections. From a piece of shit, John Thune, an absolute garbage heap.
Well, Lisa Murkowski's even worse. Murkowski's a political dynasty from Alaska who survived a Republican primary she lost in 2010 and ran a write-in campaign and harvested every single ballot from every village in the frontier of Alaska she could find to get back in, only to come back to Congress and represent a Trump plus 13 state. And tell people that you don't need this because a few people in Alaska might have trouble getting an ID. This is how the uniparty operates. My forecast for the 2026 midterms has the Democrats likely to win the House. A lot of that is based on historical trends for 92 years and how the president's party fares. But the Senate, it's a tough map for the Democrats, but they definitely made a number of races potentially competitive by their inaction. But Joe, I'm not so confident that the Republican majority likes to be in the majority. I think they like to be in the minority where they can rail against the party in power and raise funds as these super conservatives with no pressure to actually do anything.
Just is amazing. We've been talking about the massive amount of fraud for so long that it's almost So this, by the way, I want to play this to get your thoughts on it. I have a couple of things I want to play, but this one is Tina discussing the image on the Dominion server before the Secretary of State came in. Play cut 2.
for people that don't know what's going on, I took an image of the Dominion server before the Secretary of State came in to what it turned out to delete election records. 4 people simultaneously were being raided at the same time, including myself. So they are looking for anything and everything to try to discredit us or discredit me as a whistleblower because of what we found on these Dominion machines. And I took steps to investigate the results of the 2020 election. So, and the Democrat Secretary of State, Jenna Griswold, and the political parties connected to Soros are coming down on me hard. Merrick Garland. I mean, they do not want this information out there. Very powerful people that do not want this information out. Merrick Garland turned the FBI on parents that showing up at school boards, as you were just talking about, to protest critical race theory and things like that. So anyone that doesn't agree or threatens their position or brings out information that is factual, they are trying to discredit.
We've seen it over and over and over again. Everyone is an election denier. Everyone is bad, except for the very people that are doing it. And if you look over the last 20 years, Seth, the record is 0 and probably 2,000 of whistleblowers or people that have come forward with information that were not slandered and put into a hole. FBI whistleblowers, IRS whistleblowers, election whistleblowers. Tina Peters sits in jail for 9.5 years. There's 0 amount of tolerance given to those people that do the right thing.
Well, the problem is the people that make all the decisions in this country are the ones that are steadfast in those positions. The people themselves, 40% of Americans at the time of the 2020 election believed that election was tipped by fraud. And it was only 42,918 ballots between Georgia, Wisconsin, and Arizona that tie of the Electoral College. 42,918, that's nothing. 10,457 here in Arizona. So, but the people over the years, you and Dave, other people that went around the country talking about election, up to 66% of Americans in 2024 didn't trust American election system. It's still 62% according to Rasmussen reports. So now it's holding steady that 3 out of 5 Americans don't believe of elections is trustworthy, and this is why you see the Overton win shifting now to where there's so much heat on the Senate to pass it back. That doesn't do us a lot of good here in the short term, but you can just test it out online. I recently waded back on that. I don't like platform because it's so tough. If you post fraud related things, you don't find all the trolls showing up anymore because there's far fewer of them to troll you about a topic everyone knows exists. That's why I created the phrase electile dysfunction and all of the symptoms that go with it, because you have to be able to throw the ridicule right back at them.
Yeah, so we throw the ridicule back at them. It doesn't seem to have any teeth. And maybe I'm being a little bit more, brash about this in particular, but there's got to be a way to get this information. I feel like every time I have a conversation with someone in the Trump administration, or if I talk to someone in Congress, I have to start at 0 and build it back up. It's as if they're not even paying attention to what's happening in our society.
Yeah, I share the same frustrations. I knew from the get-go that it was going to be very hard to pass any meaningful legislation through the Congress, which is the major issue. Some things that we need to pass amendments for, but there probably are ways. Now, I mentioned earlier that I think the Supreme Court is going to accidentally throw some relief at the elections problem, and the way these work, a few more things. So there's a case, Watson versus Republican National Committee. Watson being the Secretary of State of Mississippi. I'm not so sure that he's not running this case on purpose just to get defeated, just so there could be a precedent now. But Mississippi is far from a problem when it comes to elections. But they do have laws that allow for the counting of late absentee or mail-in ballots. So all 6 Republican-appointed Supreme Court justices appear to be highly frustrated with Mississippi's argument that we should be allowing late counted mail-in ballots, and they're constantly reinforcing the language, election day, election day. It has to mean something. So I think we're going to get a decision on that case that late arriving mail-in ballots are no longer valid. And that's going to really hurt states like California, Nevada, Oregon, Washington that have used that. I think Colorado counts theirs a little bit quicker than a lot of the other states, but as you know, middle of mail-in ballot help. So if we can get some relief there, then we could potentially extend the argument to deal with early voting, which the early vote period, especially in Pennsylvania, 7 weeks before Election Day, the mail-in ballots are going out. If that gets cut, then we're going to see some big-time relief when it comes to mail-in ballots.
Okay, so let's say they give you a relief. We're still dealing with the fact that we had an executive order that was supposed to get rid of those. What did it not?
Well, the left went out and sued every court they could to get most of that order tied up, which is exactly what's going to happen with the most recent order. But I think that was probably by design to expedite it to the Supreme Court. That's why the last order was pretty narrow, dealing with the state's postal service rather than the states to verify who's going to be getting a mail-in ballot. The states also have to sell it. So that fact that these states with are not then that the very difficult work that we do to try to move the fraud down, the very hard one thing that's worked against us for all these years.
Yeah, I missed some of that because you broke up, but I think I got the gist of what you're saying. But I do think that President Trump specifically said that you can't have mail-in ballots, correct?
Well, you can have them. Like Florida had
for ADA and narrowing the line of who can get one.
Well, so like Florida, areas we are in Arizona, 3/4 of the ballots come in, and we have citizens who are addicted to the mail-in. To me, today, unless
you keep breaking up. We're getting like every third word.
All right, come back
up in your chair. Okay. He's going to go out and come back in. So what he's doing, he's talking about the narrowing of what's happening. If we had the SAVE Act, we would at least have another layer on this. But the Democrats are out there fighting against it tooth and nail because you're taking away the ability for them to cheat. Now, nobody wants to talk about that, but that's the reality. And it doesn't just cheat for the Republicans. It cheats the Democrats out of proper representation too. And the only people that want to be involved in elections are people that are relatively weak, as far as being elected to office in most instances, because you can't get into. Nobody that's competent wants to sit in line and go through the different processes that are necessary in order to become elected. Now, as I said that, I was like, listen, there's a lot of really good people that are running for office, and I want to be clear that, frankly, if you have strongholds where the Republican candidate can get into office, great. But in most places, it's a 49-51, you win by 20 or 30 votes because they've basically created an environment where that becomes standardized. Is he back? All right, bring him back in. All right, we got you again?
Yeah, we'll see how this works. Having all kinds of fun today. What's that?
You connect back to the internet?
Look, my Wi-Fi is being stupid today, so I'm actually on cell service right now, so we'll see how that goes.
Okay. All right, so give us an update on you. I mean, we've talked about all these elections. It's been a tired 6 years. How are you doing? You're now in Arizona. You live in Arizona?
Yeah, live in Tucson. Still busy fighting the fight. I'm the first gentleman of Arizona's 17th legislative district, so I do a lot of support for Rachel. We're up to our eyeballs in elections this year. It's going to be a tough year. Midterms are like that. Our district is also the only district where Trump ran left of his 2020 numbers in 2024. So we've got a little bit of that suburban slide, a lot of McCainite voters in our district. So anyway, we're trying to get reelected. This is Rachel's last run, and then we're going to move into a different sector of trying to fix things.
What do you think happens in 2028?
Well, I think that it's a little bit far. In March of 2020, the president appeared to be on track to be reelected. And then the coronavirus was sprung on everybody. All the rules for the elections were changed, and the election became what I constantly describe as a quasi-election. Right now, in 2028, the Democrats have a lot of political issues, especially when the 2030 census hits, because a lot of their states are going to lose a ton of population. If Trump and the Census Bureau handle the census right, they could really gut that party. Now, it only does as good as the Republicans do in delivering on as many of their agenda items as possible. Right now, if I had to put money on it, I would put money on J.D. Vance or Marco Rubio winning the presidency in 28.
I actually think Rubio is our guy.
Well, one of those two will be the nominee.
Yeah, I think Rubio can win it if we can get the election stuff handled. He definitely has been a pretty strong. I would say there is no other Trump. There's only one Trump, but I see him as a very dynamic leader, completely different than when he ran for office way back in 2016.
Yeah, I think he probably broke a lot of the ties that moored him to an ineffective platform. That's the read I get on him. He seems to be much more of a pragmatist than I remember when he was early in his time in the U.S. Senate.
Yeah. All right, Seth. Hey, thanks for joining us, brother. I really appreciate it. You look good. You look like you're well fed.
No, well, Rachel put 30 pounds on me, and we built a gym in the garage, so we're going to have to do a 225 bench off sometime, Joe. See how that goes.
We say win, bro. We say win. We start with push-ups and do whatever you want. Just say win.
All right, good. Win. Well, how about at the Douglas County Fair, June 26th and 27th?
I was really glad to hear that you were coming out. I was talking to Heidi, and I told her, I was like, Seth Keshel, you got to have Seth on there for sure.
Yeah, well, we'll do it then. We'll bring all the equipment. How about reps for vets?
We can just go right down the street. We can go right down the street from me.
Reps for vets.
Done.
Yeah, charity. All right, cool.
All right. Hey, God bless you, brother. It's good to see you.
See you, buddy. Thank you, everybody. Right. Thanks, Joe's audience. Yeah.
Seth Keshel is a good man. He's a very good man, and the things I know about Seth are I could write a book. Just about that. I wonder if I could write a Seth Keshel book. See how that would go over well. You'd probably get mad at me. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, I didn't want to cover this. I didn't want to cover it, but I keep getting phone calls and emails and text messages that says, Joe, Victor Marks. Now listen, I think I buried the hatchet with Victor Marks on Saturday at the assembly. Walked up and he said, we're all in it for the right reasons. And I was like, okay, sure. And I shook his hand and I walked away. But now we have more questions than we do answers. And yeah, let's take a break. When we come back, we're gonna take a very different approach to Candace Owens deal. And if you say, I don't like Candace Owens because someone else doesn't like her, man, I don't know how to feel about things, but I am no longer throwing out information and saying someone's not credible because someone else tells me that they're not credible. I don't believe that. And two things can be true at the same time. So we'll be right back. Hi, I'm Joe, Supreme Leader of DCF Guns. What is DCF Guns, you ask? We're the best damn gun store and range in the universe. Do we have guns? We have all the guns. We got small guns. We got big guns. We even have beastly guns. We offer all types of training, and we have 5 ranges across our 3 locations. I'm a good shot. And of course, we have all types of ammo. We even have flamethrowers. Woo! We offer incredible membership opportunities, and members save even more on guns, ammo, and accessories. Come join the DCF family today, where we keep the range hot and the deals hotter. It's hot. In every thread, in every stitch, Honor-Bound USA weaves the fabric of the American spirit. It's not just apparel, it's a testament to God, family, and country. At Honor-Bound USA, We're a family of patriots who put our faith, family, and America first. When you visit our website, you'll find a line of products that embody our commitment to pray, stand, speak, and act. As the official site for the Untamed podcast, all of our products proclaim speaking the truth with courage. We also have the powerful documentary from Professor David Clements, Let My People Go. Identify yourself as one of the few who are willing to stand for what they believe in. Join the Honor-Bound USA family today. Wear it as a badge of honor, commitment to the values that shape us, and a pledge to the bright future we will build together. Because when you're honor-bound, you're not just wearing a brand, you're embodying a lifestyle.
Now, on background, you should know that his real name is Vaughn Victor Kennedy. Well, he says it's Vaughn. His military record says it's Vo with no N at the end, but we'll say Vaughn Victor Kennedy. Now, by the time he was 17, he had lived in 17 homes and attended 14 schools. He was involved with drugs, fights, and theft in high school. He regularly tells the story about the abuse that he endured at the hands of his stepfather, a man that he refers to as Mr. K. But his stepfather's real name was Glois Dean Kennedy. And his stepfather served in the Army and did counterintelligence. And thereafter, he ran an international drug smuggling ring out of Jamaica, for which he eventually pled guilty and was convicted of conspiracy in 1987 for attempting to import 1,400 pounds of marijuana from Jamaica. Also charges which included money laundering, aiding and abetting. He was sentenced to 14 years in prison. Okay. Now, Victor's brother, Mike Kennedy, who would go on to become an attorney, also pled guilty as the co-conspirator in that drug trafficking ring. He took a plea deal, so he only served a year and a day in exchange for testifying against his stepfather, Glois. What about his biological dad? Victor Marx's biological dad was apparently cut from the same cloth. His name was Karl Marx. Okay? And he was a pimp, a drug dealer, and also a world-famous martial arts expert who spent time in a mental hospital for his homicidal tendencies. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking maybe Victor had angelic grandparents who kept him safe from all of this dysfunction, but you would be wrong. Now, unfortunately, his grandfather, on his dad's side, killed his grandmother before he turned the gun on himself and committed suicide in public. What about Victor himself? Well, Victor killed a man at the age of 7, but to be clear, Victor is very open about that story, as he is with every story. Some people don't believe his stories. I'll let you be the judge.
Candace went on for 58 minutes. And I went and met with Victor Marx before I announced that I was going to be running for governor of Colorado. And I met with almost all of them. First I met with Greg Lopez. So Greg actually ended up becoming an independent, getting in the middle. I went and met with everyone except for Barb Kirkmeyer, and I ended up going to meet with Barb Kirkmeyer later. And I met with Scott Bottoms. I'm a big fan of Scott Bottoms. I endorsed Scott Bottoms when I got out of the governor's race. You don't have to agree with everything, and I'm not going to preface this by saying that Candace Owens is a bad person, because she's not. If you think she is, something's wrong with you, not me. Because enough people have said things about me that frankly are absolute crap, and she's not a crazy person. She's not crazy at all. But vetting is important. And so when I went to go meet with Victor, I sat down with him. I got to do the tour of his property in Colorado Springs, outside of Colorado Springs. And I was really good at what I did overseas. I was really good. I was exceptional, actually. And something didn't sit right. And so when I don't participate in anybody else's idea that they want to go dig up stuff on other people. I think that's completely, it's antithetical to who I am as a person, because if I'm digging on you, it's because you did something really, really, really bad. Running for governor doesn't rise to that level. But before I actually went to run, or as I was getting ready to run, I called a few people that I know and I was like, let me see the file. And they're like, what file? And I was like, you know what file I'm talking about. And I knew there was a file. And so I looked through the file of information, and I'm not talking about the file that Darcy or Corey or anybody else put together. This is a file of, here's our preferred candidate, and Democrat strategists do it, and I have friends on both sides. I'm a technologist, right? So I have friends on everywhere, and I wanted to see it. And it was compelling. It was compelling, and it wasn't compelling from the standpoint. I almost feel bad for Victor, because Victor's a victim of his own environment, and I don't know which part of what he says is true or not true. I just know that a substantial amount of what he does say, there's probably some truth to. I'm bipolar. I have mental illness or something happening, homicidal thoughts, things like that. That's probably true. I hope it's less true and maybe hyperbolic, because the fact that someone with those issues would want to run for office is problematic. But there's a lot of them. You have Jimmy Sangenberger in Colorado. He's a self-proclaimed media personality. I don't think he has an audience at all, but Jimmy is on the radio. He was he's just a weirdo. But he was also institutionalized, so that he wants to be inside of government. And you have other people like this kid Nick down in Colorado Springs, again, another mental case, and you have all these people that are mental cases that get involved in politics. It makes me go, man, that's why our laws, everything's screwed up, is one, we have nutballs being put in office and because they could easily be controlled, and two, nobody wants to be around nutballs. Sorry. Vetting is important, but the more information I got on Victor, the worse it got for me. And I was like, wow. And then he started attacking me, saying that I was a part of a mean girl, he called it the kindergarten cabal. I don't punch down. You can ask Patrick, you can ask Damon, you can ask Apollo, I just don't do it. If you don't take a shot at me, I'm not taking a shot at you. I'll just feel sorry from you from this side. And people are like, well, this person's bad. I mean, if you do stuff like John Thune, he's a traitor to the country. Senator John Thune, he tells us that sit down, slave, we're not going to pass the SAVE Act because we don't want you to kick me out of office. Same reason why we don't have term limits. But this is how Victor responded. This, by the way, how Victor responded to the 58 minutes, which, by the way, I haven't even watched all 58 minutes. I didn't watch it. I have not watched it yet. People are like, did you watch it? And I was like, no, I have not. I've seen tidbits like this, but I have not watched it because I've already seen the file. I know, and I've already had conversations with Corby. I've already seen it. I've seen this show. The issue is that he's running for office, which we're going to talk about in a minute, and he presents himself as someone that he's not. It's a mirage. And it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure that out. This has nothing to do with him running for office, so if you want to support him, support him. But why did he show up to the assembly with 12 people in tow? Why did he stay behind? There's a lot of questions. But here's how he responded.
Well, all righty then. Love you, Candace. Let me know when you want me to come on the show. Praying for you.
If you take your glasses off right before you're going on to a thing and you want to make it a production, that's great. And it's okay with me if Victor decides to drop out. I think it'd be better for his mental health, frankly. Because you don't hide from people. Let's just go to the General Assembly. You don't hide from people in a room upstairs telling everyone you're going to sweep the assembly, you're going to take it from everyone, and you don't get top ticket. And now there's 80 votes more than you had people that were in the assembly. If you want to know what happened in Colorado, you had the assembly, there was credentialed, and then versus credentialed number of ballots, there was 80 more votes than we had people. Which they explained it away and said, well, you know, it was because you had the vice chairs and the chairs, and so they left, or excuse me, they didn't have badges, so maybe that was the discrepancy. And I go, okay, that checks. But then why wasn't the down ballot? See, it was the governor's race and the down ballot. Why did the down ballot race then fully check? Why was it right? It was only the governor's race that was a problem. Let's put this up here. This is from somebody that was at the assembly. One candidate sitting with his wife and delegates on the hard bleachers all day and walked to the front door of the building without security. Another candidate enjoys special treatment on cushioned chairs above everyone watching down and only exits his safe zone with 20 plus of his paid security detail and entered the facility through a side door surrounded with his security detail. Another is at home, thanking God she wasn't even a part of the Republican Assembly. I never said she was dumb. Now ask yourself, which one deserves to be a leader? Which one is avoiding special treatment? Not that the establishment would give it, LOL. Which one answers all questions from anyone? Which one doesn't vote like a Democrat? Which one values the caucus and Republican Assembly process that allows anyone, not just wealthy people, into the party? We have a problem inside of it. Look, everyone wants there to be a hero, and Ryan said this on a show that maybe Joe, you're not the hero that we deserve, but you're the hero we need right now. Can't figure out if he's trying to insult me or if he's saying that I'm basically Batman. But Mark Cook had to put something out yesterday because Victor Marx then stopped going to a debate. He backed out of a debate. And you should debate, right? You should be debating. You should be able to debate. And so he put this up. This is Mark Cook. Victor Marx says that you have to vote for me to see who I am, candidate for Colorado governor. He just declined yet another debate while other candidates gladly show up and meet the voters. If you won't face the people before the primary, why should they trust you after? Those are the fake, do not debate, don't ignore the signs, people. Make sure everyone has their eyes wide open. He also refused to call me about how elections are being manipulated in Colorado and to learn what happened to Tina Peters, then lied about it. When someone shows you who they are, believe them. And it goes through that Lopez said yes, and Barb Kirkmeyer said yes, and Scott Bottom said yes, and Victor Marx declined to be at that debate. Why? Why? And it was a pretty simple deal. And we have our issues in Colorado with people not getting along. I get it. I showed up last night to a Tea Party meeting expecting that I'd get some hard questions, and I did. I spoke for about an hour and 15 minutes, told them what I planned on doing. But everywhere I turn, I get slandered. Everywhere. And they say it's all Joe's fault. Well, you know how Joe is. You know how Joe is. No, how am I? And there's this guy out there, his name is Jeff Hunt. I mean, you can't write this script. You cannot write this script. Jeff Hunt has been talking about me and saying things about it's Oltmann derangement syndrome. It's all over Colorado. Start with this guy named Ray Garcia. He's super fun. Says that I'm going to go out and raise money illegally, and I mean, if raising money would be a novel concept for the Republican Party in Colorado, period. But somehow I'm going to do it illegally because Joe's going to. This is the excuse they're going to make. Joe's going to go raise a ton of money, and when he does, he did so illegally, which I won't do it illegally. I will raise a lot of money, But this Jeff Hunt guy has been just knee deep in Victorville. And so Ryan Schuling put something up because Victor and Jeff put out posts that were almost identical. Go ahead, put it up. Anyone wanting to know whether Jeff Hunt is the official hype man for Victor Marx? As I've joked before, the Flavor Flav to Marx's McChuckdy. You need to look no further than the side-by-side comparison of social media posts. Who's zooming who, as the great Aretha Franklin once asked. We'll break down real Candace Owens' wild assertions about Marx during the 3 hours, 8 a.m. Mountain Time of Ryan Schuling Live today. Okay, so if you put these side by side, in fairness, Jeff went first. So Jeff said, this is the synopsis of Candace Owens on Victor Marx. By the way, it was written by AI. And if you put the other one next to it, it goes through all the same things. It's the same. It's the same. It's identical. Official response to Candace Owens' show today, snapshot of what Candace Owens says about Victor Marx, accused of international arms trading, trafficking, Haiti, Israel, possible Iran. That's not true. There's no possible Iran. But they're identical. And so I had to respond because I think we owe it to ourselves to be at this place in the game, regardless of running for state party chair. If you can't get in front of people, if you can't feel comfortable being around people, and you have to have 20 security guards, for what? Is the Republican Party that bad, or are you setting yourself up for a Julius Caesar moment? What's happening here? There's no credible evidence that shows that you saved 45,000 children. You said that I served 45,000. You went from saving to serving 45,000 because 45,000 would put him in the upper echelon of exceeding anybody else's wild expectations of how many people that they've been able to save collectively over a storied 40-year career. And there's other things that have come up, such as, are you a 7-3 black? This stuff that to me is trivial. It is trivial. You'd say, no, Joe, it's not trivial. It's important. I actually got to the place before he attacked me where it didn't bother me what he was saying because I was just like, whatever, right? Just get in there. I'll be honest with you. If we can get a Republican candidate that basically does shrooms all day, but he can actually do what the American people want him to do, that'd be 1,000 times better than somebody on either side that thinks for themselves and does apex work, in my opinion. Sorry, that's the reality. Someone that does. Here's a novel idea. How about we have someone that doesn't betray the people? Can we do that? Maybe. But here's what I wrote. I hope it's not true. I said, is it true? I hope it's not true. I pray none of it is true. Whether it is or not, I think it deserves more scrutiny. I think Candace laid it out her case. I also think Jeff should not be lazy in fanboy responses. The allegations are serious. I would like to see Victor go on Candace's show. He said he would. I think Candace should let him go, or let him. I'll be listening to Ryan for sure, though, on Denver's K60, 630 K now. And then underneath it, I did respond as well, if you'll actually pull up Ryan's deal, because he responded there. Actually, I think he responded to this as well. I don't actually know if he did or not. Oh boy. Stop for a second. So this person said, go down. There we go. Nothing Candace says is serious. Matter of fact, if Candace attacks someone, my support for that person only grows. And I'm thinking to myself, something's wrong with you then. The part about thinking for yourself is taking it all in and waiting for the dust to settle. I'll never throw the baby out with the bathwater. I want to know what the truth is. Do I think that Candace is credible? Yes, I do. And the fact that the mainstream media hammers on her, do I think Macron's wife has a penis? I don't know. I mean, they said Michelle Obama does too. And I do joke about it, but frankly, she kind of looks like a woman. But then again, I look at like Malaysian and the Thai women, the lady boys, and they look like women too. Right? So I don't know. Here's what I do know. all of our elections are stolen. Every single one of them. There's not an election in this country that is put down on paper that doesn't have a larger degree of fraud. When you talk about stored procedures, when you talk about all the things that go into the code itself, whether it be rootkits or it was designed that way purposely or the chaos itself, is their gas to the motor of being able to stuff in fake and fraudulent ballots. There's so many different ways to do it today that frankly, I think it changes. And I think we should be aware of the fact that they now can change it at will. They can do whatever they want. The chaos is basically the gas. And it pushes people to not want to deal with it. They just scratch their head and they're like, just give me an outcome. Because people are typically good. Typically. And they don't have time for the nonsense. Retards like nonsense. So as I sit here and I say that all the elections are stolen, and I look at what's happening with Victor and all the stuff that he's going through with Candace and Corby and trying to sell, 50,000 guns to Israel, and I think about that and I'm like, yeah, but the State Department doesn't have a high regard for him, and nobody actually, I call people to ask him what they think, and they're like, yeah, he can't do any of that. Like nobody would sell him anything. They don't even take him seriously. That's the response I get back. And so I say to you as I'm sitting here talking to you that could it all be true? Yes, it could be true. Is it? Did he kill someone at 7 years old? Did he go through all the processes? Is Erica Kirk a bad person? I don't know. I'd pray not. Like I said before, I hope not. I hope it's not true. I hope none of it's true. I hope that Charlie Kirk was killed by some disgruntled guy. Why? The narrative has huge problems, but they all have huge problems. Every narrative I've heard has a huge problem, which means chaos favors the op, doesn't favor the people. It feels like I'm going all the way back to the Kennedy assassination, and I'm looking at it from the top of the depository, and I'm on the 6th floor, and there's a 7th floor, and you're saying, okay, you shot. By the way, I was there just a couple weeks ago, and I got to see it, and I went, wow, this is different than I thought. It's a more compact area. The shot came from 160 feet right out the window. I'm looking down at it and I'm like, well, that's a much easier shot. And everywhere you look, it looks like it's coming across this grassy knoll and that's where the shot was taken. It's not. Just think if you were, if you saw it on TV and it looked like the grassy knoll was way over here. No, it's literally right there. The cars, it's a very small area. So the chaos makes it even worse because you can't figure out really how to get your bearings. Well, I can't do this, can't do that. But this one's different. This one more and more keeps coming out. And frankly, I've seen the file. There's more to come out. And so I say this because I want Victor to have health. I want him to be healthy. And someone that has tendencies to do certain things or act certain ways faces a great deal of emotional strain, not just inside the race, but outside of it. And someone should have known that when they actually put him in the race. They should have known that. They should have known it. So I hope it's not true. I do. I hope that, I do hope that he's not running guns and doing all that stuff. I did not go see the Candace deal. I probably won't watch all of it. I don't have time. Number one, I'm running for state chair and there's too much to be done. But this brings me back to the two questions that I want to ask you. I've asked it now for the last 2 days. Do you like to win or do you like to lose? Which one? And then I'll ask you this next question. Do you care how you win? See, I'd rather win terribly than lose graciously. I want to just scrape and I want to fight and I want to get to a place where we can have ethical, moral standards. And I don't care how messy it is as long as we win with that mission in mind. So think about that. He becomes a candidate because somebody chooses him and we go through all this. We still got to get to a place where we can actually ask ourselves a question, and that is, can we win with that candidate? And those are the things that I think you have to ask. Let's see what we got here. Both Erica and Marks, I'm more inclined to believe Candace. Yeah, I think a lot of people are. I mean, she had over 1 million people that watched it in a 2-hour period of time. An autistic black man planted the pipe bombs. No, he didn't, but I think I know where you're going with that. And now I can't believe it. How can I believe anything the government says? You can't. You can't, because you're a slave. And the sooner you actually figure out you're a slave and that they're now saying they should take away your right on social media to speak, and that you're not smart enough to come to your own conclusions with what's sitting in front of you. And I know you should say that the grass is green, but I'm telling you it's yellow. Your grass is yellow. It's not green. That's the stupid of what we're dealing with right now. So, all right. So I'm going to get going. Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Pandora, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, and more. I had a great show today. You get a chance to go watch it. Go give me your thoughts on it. The judge is going to be a monumental task. Like, I am like exhausted sitting here talking to you right now. Whew. We're going to have a sitting judge that is going to give us information about what's happening in the Colorado. And if you're listening to this and you are a county clerk, or excuse me, a court clerk, or you work inside that environment, you want to whistleblow, we will protect you. We will make sure nobody knows your name. No one knows your name. They won't know your name. They won't be able to hear your voice. We will guard everything. But it'd be nice to have more attorneys to get on board on this show, more judges, and literally just break it down and show the American people that our judiciary is literally the devil reincarnate, because that's what it feels like. All right. Where's the show? I haven't done it yet, Murph. I haven't done it yet. It's going to be a big one, though. It's so big that it's really big. It's so big I had to bring it to you, and then I was like, okay, I got to create cover. So the first thing I have to do is I have to create cover for the people that are coming forward, including the sitting judge and then previous judges, and then we want to be able to get lawyers in. And by the way, you can look at any one of my social posts, anyone, the video on Facebook or otherwise. You can go to any of it, and you'll see people that are just stacking up on it, going, "This is what happened to me in family court. This is what the judge did." I mean, it's literally infecting itself in such a way that everyone wants to get into the action. So there's no question that we've actually hit a nerve, because I have someone that is that works inside of. Okay, I probably shouldn't say that. It's going to be a really big show. It's going to be a big show. I'm not going to say anything more, because I can tell you right now, they watch my shows every day. So, hi, Mom. They watch my shows every day, and they do so just so that they can come up with some more fodder. But this is going to blow it out of the water. It's going to blow it completely out of the water. So it'll be good. All right, let's pray. Can we pray us out? Father God, we just walked through a lot. We know that our elections are fraudulent. We know that we're here for restoration. We know that there are many things that you've asked us to do collectively in order to get to a better place inside of society. So this restoration that we kind of push towards. And we're grateful, Father, to be born at a time such as this and to be involved here where we are. But we're battle worn, and we feel like we're dealing with a lot of different parameters that maybe we're not. We don't exactly know what the outcome is going to be. So, Father, I just ask you to give us wisdom and give us discernment, and allow us to stand together and do what's right by the people that we are chartered to represent, our brothers and sisters in our community and in our country. Help us, Father, that we can see this through. We can maintain our courage and commitment to each other. And help us, Father, that we may make sure we maintain a grounding, bringing things back to you rather than thinking we have all the answers. So, Father, I ask these things humbly in the name of the Son, Jesus Christ. Amen. All right. So we're going to have judges for the judges. We'll get it all done. Still don't have the truth on the Kennedy assassination, make elections great again. Yeah, I'd like to do that. All right. Hey, God bless you all. I will see you tomorrow.
Rise up, Untamed. In the heart of the fight where the wild ones roam, Joe Oltmann's calling, bring bringing truth back home. From conservative daily to this untamed fire, we shatter the silence, lifting spirits higher. No chains can hold us, no lies can prevail. Authentic and fearless on this rugged trail. Patriots gather under stars and stripes. Untamed nation, igniting the night. Untamed nation, let the truth roll out in this land of the free. Standing proud from sea to shining sea, we won't back down. Catch the fire, wear the crown. Untamed nation, it's our battle song, motivating hearts where the brave belong. Yeah, untamed and wild, forever strong. Play it again all night long. Break the mold, chase the real. No more games, time to heal. Joe's voice leads the untamed crew. Truth matters through and through. Untamed nation, let the truth roll out in this land of the free. Standing proud from sea to shining sea, we won't back down. Catch the fire, wear the crown. Tame nation, it's our battle song, motivating hearts where the brave belong.